Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from the Calm collection from Zoya for spring 2020. This collection was sent to me for review. All opinions are my own though, so in the description box below I will link the Zoya site, I will link their Instagram page, and I will link my Instagram page where you can see more swatches of everything from this collection. And as a precursor, I did not switch to their Z-wide brushes. I did use just their regular standard, comes with the bottle brushes. If you are interested in upgrading your brush, it is $2 a brush, and I will leave that link down there as well. So we have 6 new shades to look at today, and let's go ahead and get started. So first we have Laura, and Zoya describes this as a soft pink toned ivory cream. So here's our first coat of Laura. So this one covers really well here on this first coat. It is pretty patchy though, so I am going to build it up with a second coat. Formula is good. It does have that typical Zoya formula. It's a little bit on the thicker side, but it's not difficult to work with. I do think this is one of the polishes that would benefit from having the Z-wide brush. If you have that wider brush, you have to do less brush strokes and therefore creating less of the patchiness. I didn't get any Z-wide brushes though, so I am just going ahead and using their standard brush. So this is completely opaque in 2 coats for me. Depending on your application, if you're a little bit more heavy-handed, you might have to go in for a 3rd coat to cover up any remaining patchiness on this one. This is going to dry nice and glossy all on its own. I would still recommend a top coat to keep your manicure lasting. So there is 2 coats. Up next we have AJ, and this is described as a subtle sparkling blush with a gorgeous copper micro shimmer. Here's our first coat of AJ. So this one also covers really well here on this first coat, much better than I had originally anticipated considering the little copper specks that are in here. They do stand out really well even though the base is very pigmented, so I think it's more so incorporated into the base color as opposed to being like an added element to the polish. So here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. This is also going to dry nice and glossy all on its own. Nothing in this is going to dry textured. Like I said, those little copper bits I think are more so a pigment than a glitter, so it's not going to dry textured and it's not going to be difficult to remove. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have Colleen, and this is described as a delicate pink cream with warm undertones. Here's our first coat of Colleen. So this one also covers really well here on this first coat, but it does have the same kind of issues that Laura had where it's very opaque but pretty patchy, so I am going to go ahead and build this one up. This also has a good formula, again a little bit on the thicker side, but it's not difficult to work with. It doesn't have the best self-leveling properties though, because it is on the thicker side, so you do kind of want to make sure to like cover as much as you can of the nail, otherwise you will have the streaky issues. This is another one that I think would benefit from having that Z-wide brush. So this is building up well in 2 coats. Opacity's there, but again it is a little bit on the streaky side, so I am going to go ahead and show you what a 3rd coat looks like today. If you aren't as heavy-handed as me, you could probably get this one opaque in 2, but I think if you keep this brush on there, it is more probable that you'll have to do 3. So here is that 3rd coat, and that does cover completely in 3 coats. This one is also going to dry down nice and glossy all on its own. If you want to keep your manicure lasting though, I would still highly recommend using a top coat over top of this. So there is 3 coats. Up next we have Leif, and this is described as a gentle and harmonious light sage green cream. Here's our first coat of Leif. So this one covers surprisingly well here on this first coat. It's not a one coater. I do still have some streaky spots, but it is very, very opaque, especially considering what kind of color it is. Formula is good, again, a little bit on the thicker side, not difficult to work with, but I do think that these thicker kind of creams will need a couple drops of thinner after a few uses. So here's our second coat, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. This one's also going to dry nice and glossy on its own, and again, if you're a little bit more heavy-handed, you might have to go in for 3 coats of this one. This one is also going to dry nice and glossy, just like everything else in this collection. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have Emerson, and this is described as a modern baby blue cream. I do personally think this one leans more on the side of like a light dusty periwinkle than a baby blue. Here's our first coat of Emerson. So this one also covers really well here on this first coat. This one less so than Leif was. It is a little bit more streaky, but the formula is again good, a little thick, not too thick, still easy to work with, but it might need a little bit of thinner after some time. So here's our second coat, and even with as streaky as this one was on the first coat, this does cover completely in 2. This one, just like everything else in this collection, will dry it nice and glossy all on its own. I also didn't have any kind of staining with this one. These kind of colors don't tend to stain my nails, but they do tend to stain my cuticles, and with this one being as pigmented as it is, I totally expected that and did not have an issue. So there's 2 coats. And lastly for today we have V, and this is described as a muted French lilac cream. And here's our first coat of V. This covers really, really well here on this first coat. Not quite a one coater, but very, very close, where I think after some time it might be okay on one coat. Formula on this one is really good. This one's not too thick. This one applies a little bit easier than the rest of the polishes in this collection did, and it does self-level better than anything else. So this is completely opaque in 2 coats. This one is gonna dry a little bit darker than when it's wet, so just bear that in mind. It's not quite as bright, but it is a really beautiful dusty color. And just like everything else, this will dry glossy. So there's 2 coats. I have 3 standouts in my collection. You know, I've never thought I was really like a spring polish person, but the spring collections that have come out this year, I mean it's February, but the spring collections that have come out this year have been phenomenal, and I guess I'm a spring lover. So the first one being Leif, it's kind of just a kiss of green, and it's really, really beautiful, really flattering on my skin tone, so I really liked that. The next one, okay, is V. It's purple and it's dusty and it's beautiful. It's kind of leaning more towards this mauve-y purple. Really, really liked this. I've actually already worn this one, so that says a lot to me as far as a purple polish goes. And then the last one being Emerson. I don't have a blue in my collection quite like this. It's like a dusty periwinkle leaning baby blue. Really original in my collection. I really, really like this. So those are the 3 standouts in the collection for me. And guys, that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this collection. Let me know if you plan on picking any of them up, or if you already have, and let me know what your favorite was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time.